All right, today we are diving into a story that is, well, it's fascinating and, frankly, pretty wild. It's all about a 9-year-old boy named Kell. He's a prodigy, he's an assassin, and his very existence makes us ask a really fundamental question. Where does our mind actually live?
No, I'm serious. Just think about that for a second. What if your consciousness, your entire sense of you, wasn't just locked away inside your skull, but was spread out through your entire body? For this kid, Kell, that's not some philosophical question. It's just his reality.
So to really get a handle on who Kell is, we kind of have to see him through the eyes of his older brother, Max. Because Max knows that Kell isn't just a gifted kid. He's operating on a whole other level, biologically and consciously.
And there it is. That's the secret sauce. The source of all of Kell's crazy abilities isn't magic. It's what his brother calls the nanosprite power thing. So what are these things? Well, think of them as microscopic biological agents that literally make up his body, and they give him some unbelievable powers. Let's actually take a look at what he can do.
Okay, so first off, he can just vanish. Boof! One moment he's standing right there, and the next, he just shimmers and fades away, like heat off of pavement. It is a perfect cloak, which, as you can imagine, makes him the ultimate stealth weapon.
On top of that, he can talk to you without ever making a sound. His words just sort of arrive directly in his brother's earpiece. And they have this weird mechanical quality to them, which is a big hint that we're dealing with a kind of magitech, a blend of biology and technology that's being broadcast directly from his body.
And this is where things get really mind-bending. Before he even sets foot in a building, Kell already has a perfect, detailed map of the entire place. How? His nanosprites are already there, swarming the area, gathering data, and feeding it back to him in real time. He can see and process a whole environment without even being physically present.
Okay, so let's get into the heart of it, because this is the core of our whole explainer. How is any of this even possible? It's because Kell doesn't have a consciousness like you and me. He has a distributed one.
The source material calls it a collective intelligence, so his mind isn't a single thing. It's more like a hive mind, a massive swarm of these nanosprites, all thinking and acting as one. And the wildest part? Their abilities can change on the fly depending on what the collective, meaning what Kell, needs at that moment.
And this chart really spells it out. For us, our consciousness is centralized right here, in the brain. It's one single point of failure. If your brain gets damaged, you're in serious trouble. But Kell's mind is spread through his whole body. It's redundant, it's resilient. And while we process things one after another, he processes everything in parallel. That's how he can be mapping that building while he's still waiting in another room.
But here's the thing. Every system, no matter how advanced, has a weakness, a vulnerability. A distributed system might have all these advantages, but it can still have a backdoor. And Kell's system, it has a terrifying one, rooted in a past he thought he'd escaped.
You see, for 4 years, Kell wasn't his own person. He was a conscripted child soldier, serving under a Garlean tribune named Queso, a man he was forced to call Father. And this guy didn't just command Kell. He had the admin keys to his entire operating system.
And this is the key. A simple phrase spoken in Garlean. When Kell hears these words, it's not a question. It's a root-level command that completely bypasses his own will and hijacks his entire distributed consciousness.
And this just shows you how total that control is. The second Queso speaks that phrase, Kell's own autonomy just evaporates. His invisibility fails, he drops his weapon, he becomes a puppet. Every single one of his nanosprites is now taking orders from an external source. He can't move, he can't speak, he can't even think for himself.
So how in the world do you fight that? Well, his brother Max figures it out. You don't fight Kell. Kell has been compromised. You have to treat it like a hack. You have to reboot the whole system. And to do that, you first have to disconnect the user, and then you have to eliminate the hacker.
Max's plan is actually pretty elegant. It breaks down into 3 simple steps. First, disconnect Kell from his powers. Second, get rid of the guy with the override key, Queso. And third, let Kell's system come back online, clean and free from outside control.
So, that first step is the crucial one. How does he do it? With liquid nitrogen. He floods the room. In their world, there's this concept they call atherology, and as Max says, it's pretty simple. Ice beats lightning. The extreme cold basically disrupts the bioelectrical energy that Kell uses to command his nanosprites. It's the equivalent of yanking the power cord.
So in the middle of this freezing mist,
Queso orders Kell to kill Max. Kell tries to obey, but nothing happens. He just looks at his own hands in total shock. For the very first time, he can't control the things that make him who he is. He's completely powerless.
And with Kell's abilities offline, Queso loses his ultimate weapon. That back door into Kell's mind is sealed shut. The controller is now just a man. And that's when Max interrupts Queso's command with a gunshot, permanently taking the external threat off the board. With Queso gone, the system can finally reboot. Kell is no longer a puppet. And in this really powerful final moment, Max doesn't make the final call. He leaves the choice of what to do with his abuser up to Kell. And Kell, now fully in command of himself, takes his brother's gun and ends it. He reclaims his own agency.
So, in the end, Kell's story really shows us how this unbelievable, distributed mind, the very thing that was his greatest strength, was also his greatest vulnerability. But now, by finally severing that connection to his abuser, that immense power is truly and only his to command.
Which kind of leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. Kell's consciousness was a biological system that could literally be hacked, and as our own world continues to merge technology and biology, well, it's a question we might all have to face someday. If consciousness itself is a system, who gets to hold the keys?